Welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be doing some more customization to personalize my car some more. So what I'm going to be changing now is the OEM cluster to a custom made one by Venoxy. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it some more or butcher the name even more, but I'm going to go ahead and post a link down in the description and also put a little screenshot of their website here off to the side. As you can see, there's different colors of cluster that you want if you want to get for your car. So obviously with mine I got a hint of yellow, so I actually got mine a little bit more custom made, and they're able to do custom orders as well. And as for me, I wanted to go a slightly different, not have the all same colored cluster. So as you can tell, you know, from the highlights, if you've been following my channel for a while, you kind of see what kind of color theme I have going with my car. So obviously there had to be something that's yellow within the cluster, so I'll go into detail once I go and reveal the cluster that I got. And also they're from Poland, so it is a legit company, it's a legit website, you know, and then they're super fast to order, because I emailed them and then with the kind of the idea that I wanted to do slightly different custom, and they were totally able to do it. I actually had to Photoshop an image to make it so I can show them kind of how I wanted the cluster to be, and they were totally able to do that, which is super awesome. And then once I purchased it, made the order, I think that it's like about a 2-week turnaround, and once it's for them to ship it, I got the, you know, the tracking number, and within like seriously from Poland here to the States, it was like literally like 4 days of super fast shipping. So I got the cluster within less than like literally 3 weeks, so it was not much of a long wait for me. So definitely kudos to them to get delivering the product, and I even saw it and it looks amazing. So right now, before I show you guys the cluster, I'm going to go ahead and remove the OEM cluster and go step by step the process that I'll be doing to remove the cluster. Before I go ahead and remove the cluster, I want to show you guys something. So for the B6 B7 platform, there's going to be two types of clusters, I mean. So there's going to be the type 1. The way you can tell is by looking at there's a sensor and it shows it to you on the website. So for type 1, it is going to be the flat tire little symbol. So when you get the flat tire, you get the little flat tire symbol. So that's the type 1, because type 2 immobilizer. And since this model, I think it's probably maybe it's for US models only, has the tire pressure. I can't really speak for other country or for your own. You're gonna have to see, and the way you can tell, you know, if you have a light, you're gonna have to shine a light and you're gonna see what symbol that is, and that for me is the little tire, low tire sensor. The first thing I gotta do to remove this cluster, there's this trim piece right here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna gently move it out of place. So I'm just doing it with one hand. So definitely take your time. You don't want to break anything. So there, one hand. And now there's going to be two screws, one screw here and another screw right there. One thing I want to mention, since the space to get into here is very, very small, so I'll be using is a specialty. So it's a Torx 25 that I'll be using to get to that spot. All right, so the two screws are out. Before I go ahead and remove the cluster, I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the steering wheel. So I'm gonna go all the way down and then all the way towards me, so that I have enough room to get the cluster out from its spot right here. Okay, so I have the cluster out as much as I can. So there's two things that I'm gonna have to do. So right now the cluster is held on by two clips. So there's one clip here on this side, which is right here where my finger is pointing right here. And then on the other side, there's also another clip right there where my finger is pointing to. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove those two clips. After those two clips are out of the way, then this whole thing will be able to come out. So one thing I want to show you, so the clips are the same on both sides, how it's connected. So what you want to do is you want to push down on this tab right here in the middle, and what I did is I used a little flathead so I can push this purple lever up, and then I was able to release it. Okay, so before I can go ahead and remove this glass part, there's going to be 4 clips and 2 screws that need to be removed. The 2 screws that will need to be removed are right here, 1 and 2. On top of those 2 screws right here, there's also another set of 2 screws here as well that need to be removed. And then the 4 clips, there's going to be 2 on this side. Right here, there's 1 right here, 2 right there, 3, and then number 4 right there. Okay, so the back cover is removed now. And now, next, what I have to go ahead and remove, there's gonna be 4 connectors. So there's 1 right here, 2, 3, and 4 right here. That'll have to be removed from this little circuit board. Then I'll be able to go ahead and remove this out of its place. I got these clips removed, so I did it very carefully. You know, I definitely took my time. Definitely don't want to rush it because I definitely don't want to break anything. So now, carefully, you can go ahead and move this out of its spot. Turn it around, and then voila. So now I can move this out of its spot. And now I'm looking at this right here, which is gonna be switched out. So real quick before I go ahead and move on, now is the time to go ahead and clean. So if you have like dust or debris inside here, now is definitely the time to go ahead and get that stuff clean. And next, I'm gonna go ahead and carefully remove the needles. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a pry bar, a little, you know, pry bar, trim, whatever, you know, anything like this, to carefully remove the needle gauges or the needles. Now I got the needles removed. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it consistent. I'm gonna leave the RPMs on this side and then the speedometer on this side. So now this can carefully be removed from its spot. And there we go. So this is the OEM. So again, this is the tire sensor pressure I was referring to earlier in the video. That if it has this is you're the type 1 cluster gauge, and if you have the immobilizer symbol, then you're the type 2 cluster gauge. So this is a lot better view now. So now that this is out of the way, now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I got. All right, drum roll please. That's my best impersonation of a drum roll. Here it is. Pretty sweet. So as you can see from the website, there's only like, you know, the website only shows like the same color everything. So if it's all yellow, all blue, all red. So this is the customization that I wanted to do slightly different, is to just have the RPMs yellow and then keep the speedometer still the same gray, which is kind of like a Nardo gray, which is pretty cool because that's the vinyl wrap that I have on the car itself. So it kind of keeps the theme when I'm going with the car. So it still has the gray Nardo, and then it has the yellow, which I have the yellow accents that I have throughout the car. All right, so now I installed the cluster back on, and right here where the needles go, there's these little lips that go on this side and one on this side. Same with here, and then back here. That kind of clips, and you want to make sure you want to press this against down until the little lip on this overpasses the cluster itself. So that's how you know it is in place. So I want to go ahead and give a better explanation when it comes to removing the side clusters, the fuel gauge and then the water temp. So there's actually 2 clips that you need to take into account. So there's a little clip right there, and then right here there's another clip. So I'm kind of going in reverse order. So as mentioned before, there's that clip right here where my finger's pointing at. So that is the one that's gonna go in right here. And then that other second clip that's kind of hidden, which is actually right, I don't know if the camera will get it, but right there, right here, there's like a little lip. So when you push down on it, so I'm gonna push in the down position. I'm gonna set this in place just to give you guys a better demonstration. So right here, so right here, so what you'll need is a small, flathead. And what you're gonna have to do is kind of somehow use the flathead to remove that clip right there slightly, just enough. Again, you don't want to break that clip, and then this side will be number 2 that you try to let loose. Now it's going to be the same process as I did with the cluster. I'm going to go ahead and remove the needle carefully and then replace it with the new clusters that come with the kit itself. I got the fuel gauge out, so it's going to be the same process. So I'm going to get the fuel, enter, and again there are these little clips right here where the needle goes. There are little lips, and that will click in right there, and then this little clicking right there, so you know that the gauge is orientated in the right way and not, you know, orientated like this or like that. So here is the new water temp sensor. So here I had it ordered in Fahrenheit, because I think by default comes in Celsius, but because I'm here in the US, silly American, I wanted it in Fahrenheit. So you can also get that custom made. And the same thing goes with this. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure there's no dust or debris on this cluster, because, you know, again, I don't want to have any, put it back together and I see there's a big giant, you know, one of my greasy fingerprints on the screen itself, or this screen or that screen. So definitely make sure, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that's nice and clean and free of any type of debris or dust. Real quick, so what was going on when I put the needles back in its place, and I put everything back into the car, and I put the car in the on position, the needles were actually dropping below where they needed to be, so they weren't at the 0. So for the RPM, it wasn't at the 0. The miles an hour wasn't at the 0. The water temp, it wasn't reading at the 150 mark, and then my fuel gauge wasn't reading at the empty. So whenever I turned on the car, all 4 gauges would go below the reading. So when I was at idle and the car was on, my miles per hour was saying I was going like -5 miles an hour. Fuel gauge was saying I was negative empty, and then my fuel temp, my water temp was saying I was like way below, like maybe like 100 degrees. And then the RPMs, always when I was at idle, was actually around like saying like maybe like 500. I know that 500 is not the normal idle revolutions when it's at idle. So I was trying to figure out, well, how do I correctly position the needles so that the needles read correctly? And I was going through the forums and trying to research like how has anybody ever done this, and I wasn't able to find anything on how to correctly position the needles. So I came up with an idea that I thought that was going to work, and it looks like it is working. So what I had to do was, instead of having the hassle of plugging this into the car every single time to make sure I set the needles right, I actually went ahead and wired the little simulation. I wired some needles back here, and I'll go ahead and show you guys here in a little bit. And then I went to have put a 12-volt power supply, and there's a 2-amp as well to simulate the cluster and when the cluster is turned on. So real quick, just to demonstrate. So there you can see that the clusters are on, and all the needle gauges, all 4 are in the 0 position. So the way you connect to simulate power supply to the circuit board, what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna need 3 wires. So 2 of them are gonna be ground, and 1 of them is gonna be your hot wire. So so when you're looking, it's only gonna be the green one. There's nothing at all that needs to be done to the blue one, just to the green one only. So the green one, on the left side, there's your 2 grounds, and on the right side of the pins is going to be your live wire. When it comes to the green pins, there are a total of 32 individual pins, and it's going to start from right here. The top right is pin 1, the bottom right is pin 16, this one right here is pin 17, and then this on this corner right here is pin 32. So again, as mentioned, there's going to be 3 pins you got to connect. So to give your hot wire, which is this red one, your hot wire, it's going to be pin number 3 on the right side. So again, it's pin number 3. You'll connect a wire for your hot wire, and then the 2 grounds is pin 18 and 19 right here. So my brown is 18, and this white one right here is pin 19. And then from there, I connected the 2 grounds to my negative terminal right here, and then the 1 hot wire to the positive terminal right here. So now, whenever I connect the power supply, that will simulate the cluster being turned on in the on positions. So the idea that I had on how to zero out the needles correctly was, first, I had the needles not connected onto the cluster. I actually had all 4 needles off. So then what I did was, this is when I went ahead and turned it in the on position. And then I let it wait, because when it's in the on position, the little dials, all 4 dials, will zero out in the zeroed out position. So that's when I go ahead and put in all 4 needles in their zeroed out position. So since I already did this step, so pretty much just pretend that I don't have the needles. So I carefully placed all the needles in the correct zeroed out position. So I hope that actually makes sense. Now that all 4 clusters are zeroed out, now I'm gonna go ahead and install the cluster and the 2 gauges here back into the housing. All right, so this is how it looks. I'm definitely loving this. Looks so much. So obviously I can go ahead, connect the wires and do everything that I just did in reverse order now. With these bottom ones right here, that these wires go behind this little tab right here, and the same thing's gonna go right here for this side as well. Something that I did before I'm gonna go ahead and install the cluster, I actually went ahead and buffed it with this little buff polisher that I have. It's a little air pneumatic one, so this thing is amazing. And that sound also is amazing as well. So that's definitely one cool thing to have if you don't have one, especially if you detail your own cars. Getting all those little minor scratches, major scratches actually, from the screen, it looks so crystal clear. So I'm really excited how this came out. So when it comes to connecting the cluster back onto the car, it's going to be exactly the same process but in reverse order as before. And again, the battery is still disconnected. So once I get this installed, the cluster installed, then I'll go ahead and connect the battery. Okay, now that I have the cluster installed, I went ahead and connected the battery terminals back on, and then it looks amazing. I'm super excited how it came out with the off-center yellow as compared to the, I'm sure it will still look good. It was all yellow, but me being me, I kind of want to be a little bit slightly unique, and I am loving the new look. So as always, gotta do a B-roll. That will be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this content, and also if you guys do plan on doing this mod yourself, hopefully this video was of educational to you guys, and hopefully everything made sense with even the little problems I had when it came to inserting the needle. But again, as I mentioned before, if you know the correct way to install the needles, by all means comment it down in the comment section and with the link, and I'll definitely make sure to read that information. But again, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys have a good one. Thanks.